Just where the hell have you been?
I was following my orders.
Don't be coy with me. I didn't give you freedom just to have you move around by yourself. You are meant to only follow my orders, and that's it.
Your orders?
Huh? What do you think you're doing? Stop!
Detective Conan, while it's not too huge in the West, is an absolute titan of the anime industry in Japan, being a longer-running manga and show when compared to One Piece, with over 1,150 episodes, manga chapters, as well as 27 movies. Now, I grew up with this show in my teens, finding it on Netflix and unknowingly starting around the 500 episode mark. But regardless, it completely hooked me, and has been my favorite anime ever since. And one of the things I love about Conan is one of its characters, the infamous gentleman thief, Kaito Kid. Being one of the series' most prevalent and popular characters, he actually originated from his own manga that was released before Detective Conan. However, due to Conan's popularity, the author shifted his focus to Conan, leaving the Magic Kaito manga to go on a bit of a hiatus. But, to remedy this, Kid was introduced into Detective Conan, having the two act as their own homage to Sherlock and Arsène Lupin. In 2015, they finally created an anime to adapt all of the current chapters of Magic Kaito. And this show is amazing. I 100% recommend watching it, even if you're not a fan of Detective Conan. However, if I even dare show a scrap of footage of this show, TMS is going to break into my house and make me the next victim in a Conan case. So, take a seat as I go through some of Kaito Kid's adventures that never actually made it to TV. Chapter 5 of the Magic Kaito manga follows Kaito and Aoko as they go scuba diving. They're led by a mysterious man who attempts to kill both Kaito and Aoko after they discover the ruins of an old submarine. This chapter is driven by its new character, who turns out to be the protector of the submarine. Kaito reveals his name to be Silver after finding an old diary, and they get into a huge fight. However, what's most fun about this chapter is Silver's backstory. Being the son of a pirate, he spent his whole life with his father and their crew inside of the ship, until one day, it submerged, killing them all. All he wants to do is protect the place he was raised, and he constantly questions whether or not his father would approve of his decision. Eventually, they get surrounded by sharks, with their only chance of survival being to return the ship to the surface. Silver and Kaito form an alliance and manage to escape. However, as Kid calls for Silver to join him and Aoko in the plane, he refuses and stays in the ship as it explodes, leaving a final piece of wisdom to Kid: find something worth protecting. It's an interesting and short chapter with a lot of fun panels. I think the concept of thieves versus pirates is kinda cool, and it has a lot of other stuff that could really make it a good episode, so it makes me question, why did they decide not to adapt it? Well, if I had to wager a guess, I'd probably say its main message and subject matter is already handled better in other chapters of the manga, like the Dark Knight story in chapters 27 and 28. Chapter 8 starts off with Kaito and Aoko playing a Dragon Quest type game before a newsflash appears on the TV, with reports that Kaito Kid has kidnapped Japan's Prime Minister right before a big peace conference with the rest of the world. This of course puts all eyes on Kaito Kid, and leaves it up to Kaito to find out who kidnapped the Prime Minister and framed him. Compared to the previous one we covered, this is one of the more wholesome chapters, with Kaito finding an old man in a subway doing terrible magic tricks and accidentally outing himself as the culprit. Kid then confronts the magician, confirming the one who made the Prime Minister disappear was really the Prime Minister himself. But why? Well, turns out he gets really scared when confronted by people, so he decided to play hooky. Kid then shows him a magic show that completely wows him, before performing his final trick and putting him in the room with the other world leaders. It's a nice chapter, but I can see why it wasn't adapted. Not only does it revolve around world leaders, which can be a bit of a topical subject for a show like Magic Kaito, but it's also quite short and really doesn't have much to say, so it just kind of feels like filler. This chapter follows Kid as he's hunted down by a bunch of toy drones that are made to track someone down endlessly. This chapter is the first appearance of Kid's scooter and has some pretty fun action scenes, but I feel as though I can tell why it was scrapped right from the bat. While it's fun seeing Kid constantly on the run, the way he manages to defeat the toys is by threatening to shoot one of them in the head. This makes the toys rat out their leader and Kid closes its eye, defeating it like it's an invention Doofenshmirtz would create. Anyways, after this he gives it to Aoko, who opens its eyes, causing the police to see live footage of her as she takes a bath. Which is another reason I think they scrapped it. Kaito is just too much of a perv in this one. Overall, I think this chapter was better for being left out. Reading all of these back to back, I'm starting to notice a pattern here. A lot of these chapters that never got adapted usually have someone else pretending to be Kid, or just doesn't have Kid stealing jewels at all. And this chapter is no exception. The boy who bet on a ball is all about this young kid who, when teased that he isn't the real Kaito Kid, decides to call in that Kid will steal a famous baseball player's home run ball. This chapter focuses less on the heist and more so on Kaito teaching the young boy to believe in himself. It has an interesting concept where Kid has to steal the home run, yet the player hasn't hit a home run in a long time. I think it's cool to see a Kaito Kid story where Kid himself has to manipulate the events in order to fulfill his promise. It's a fun, lighthearted chapter, but it definitely feels out of place for Kid. While Kid does make grand displays of his magic, doing something like using a Jumbotron to scream at a baseball player just feels weird. So I can definitely say that this one is fine not to be adapted. We jumped quite a while ahead here, but the next two chapters weren't adapted simply because they were made after the Magic Kaito show finished airing. These next few chapters specifically, dubbed the Sun Halo, was created in 2017, a whole 2 years after the anime had finished airing. This particular arc feels more like a Conan case than a Kid chapter, since it focuses on Kid and Aoko being trapped in an escape room type scenario. Kid is injured by falling on glass while trying to save Aoko, and now the two have to try to escape before Kid bleeds out. It's filled with unique puzzles, fun character growth from Kid and Aoko, as well as giving Hakuba something to solve. My favorite part of this chapter specifically is the beginning and ending with Kaito's new motorcycle. In the beginning, he says that Aoko should buy herself a helmet so that he can take her places, and by the end the two end up riding together. Aoko remembers Kid's injury so doesn't hold tightly to Kaito, but Kaito assures her that if she doesn't hold on tight she might fall, relieving Aoko, who is now positive that Kid isn't Kaito. It's a fun little character-driven arc, but again it feels a little weird for a Kid chapter to focus so much on puzzles and mystery. But regardless, I still think it would make for a great episode in the future. Before making this video, I had read all the prior manga chapters that we had discussed so far, but chapters 37 and 39 were released in 2024, so this is actually my first time reading them. And boy, what a chapter. This one felt right at home with some of the better Kaito Kid heists out there, and honestly feels like a return to formula. So, this arc, named the Green Dragon, centers around a character we've heard about but never seen before, Aoko's mother. We learn that she's a dedicated prosecutor who has an unusual sleeping pattern, hence why she hasn't been into the series until now. When eating dinner to celebrate her 40th birthday, Aoko tells her that Nakamori was unable to join them thanks to Kaito Kid. And in a fun twist, Aoko's mother Midoriko has no idea who Kaito Kid is. Eventually she finds out and the two decide to try and catch Kaito Kid by themselves. Midoriko is by far the highlight of these chapters. She's a laid-back, fun character with a devilishly high intellect. I think the best way to sum it up is by using this panel where Aoko talks about her mother. Her father smokes a pipe like Sherlock, Hakuba wears a Sherlock outfit, but in Aoko's mind, Midoriko is the most like Holmes to her. The actual heist itself is also pretty fun. We get fun twists and turns, as well as some clever foreshadowing that you can actually figure out if you pay attention. Just an overall great chapter that I honestly think you should go and read for yourself. Here's hoping we get to see it animated in the future. We now get to the chapter that made me want to create this video in the first place. Chapter 3, The Clockwork Heart, is one of my favorite Kaito Kid stories out there. It follows a robot imitation of Kaito, who's programmed with all of his memories and skills. He believes himself to be the real Kaito, but is then quickly dissuaded by Kaito once he points out some clear contradictions. Robot Kaito gathers some final information before he leaves the real Kaito to blow up in a small shack. And this is where we get to see Robot Kaito commit his very first heist.
Kaito Kid!
Locating target. 1, 2, 3. Target acquired. Distance 4.6 centimeters. Object acquired. Haha.
He's making his escape to the other building! After him!
I have stolen the jewel. Ha ha ha. Are you satisfied with that? How did you? What? The real Kaito Kid can appear without notice. Have you already forgotten that, Mr. Robot? Ha ha ha. You lose, false Kaito Kid. What? Did you also forget that I can predict all of your actions? All your possible actions are my actions. I can process your thoughts faster than your own mind. Damn it! Shit! Just admit, it's over. You can't beat me. If you aim at my arm, I shoot yours first. I can predict wherever you will aim. Planning to shoot with your left hand? You are brave, but stupid. You have already lost. Sorry, Mr. Robot, but there's only one Kaito Kid. I'm going to die. Yes, this is farewell. So, this is what it feels like to be human.
What in the world happened here? The kid left a note.
Dear Inspector Nakamori, tonight's events was not my work. That is why I will return the jewel to you, kid.
Ha! That kid sure is one interesting guy.
Now, I'll admit, the whole robot doppelganger is a trope that is somewhat overused, and you can see a lot of Terminator inspiration in this chapter. But there's just something I really love about the way Kid is written here that is just so awesome. It's that sort of on-the-spot twist that completely surprises you that makes me love Kid as a character. And this is just put on full display with the way he defeats Robo Kid. It's a really unique story that, while it leads more into sci-fi a little much, could still work as a fun and memorable episode. However, they just decided not to use it, which is a complete missed opportunity in my eyes. With that being said, that's all for the Kaito Kid chapters that we get to be animated. I was surprised by just how much content in the early chapters got abandoned, but I suppose if you get to choose what to pick, you choose your stronger chapters when it goes to animation. I hope in the future, maybe once Detective Conan finishes serialization, that we can finally get a conclusive ending to the Magic Kaito manga. And then maybe, just maybe, we can finally see all of these chapters get animated. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next illusion.